witness, fellas. Look here.
Stand by.
One for C-Lab, two for Troy Eagle, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Broadcasting live from inside the Power Band. This is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, the Wolverine, along with my intrepid companions, Jarhigo.
Hello.
And C-Lab forever.
What's up?
Welcome to the podcast, folks, and welcome to episode 100. That's right. We've made it all the way to episode 100.
Crazy.
It's crazy. Kooky, even. And in honor of episode 100, we decided to do something slightly different and go back and talk about the first show we ever talked about, or the first film we ever talked about, which is Blade Runner 2049.
There's only one place to start, Kevin. I know you're familiar with this, and of course it's with a pot of stew.
Yeah.
Boiling on a stove.
Did it make you mad this time because you'd already seen it before in this movie?
No, it didn't make me mad because this is where it belongs, is
Right.
in this movie. But the movie opens on a pot of stew. I couldn't stop thinking about the stew. I was happy about the stew.
I now remember you were criticizing you shit all over Raised by Wolves, which you hadn't watched because you heard that it opened with a pot of stew. And when I listened to the first podcast, I was like, he's gushing about the pot of stew and how much he loves the fucking pot of stew and, you know, how fucking amazing Hampton Fancher is because of the fucking pot of stew. What the fuck is with this guy?
Yeah. To be a little bit more specific, Benny, he shit all over Raised by Wolves so that you couldn't actually speak about your choice of Raised by Wolves as one of your favorite things in the year. We spent like 10 minutes griping about the stew instead of letting you speak your mind, which I thought was particularly funny.
Thorough cock blocking.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was easily one of the most egregious incidents on this show of somebody removing the air from somebody else's balloon.
Yeah. Well, there was a pot of stew here, man. It's a good opener.
Every great adventure begins with a steaming bowl of Ridley Scott beef stew.
But is it beef stew or is it like protein grub stew?
It's beef flavored.
Okay.
Stew.
Okay.
There's no actual beef in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, high level here, man.
High level.
This is a fucking fantastic movie.
So good.
Like, it is a absolutely fantastic movie. I was just like bathed in the cinematography and just so thoroughly enjoyed it. It isn't, it still isn't able to get beyond the original in my view, but man, it's one of the best films of the last decade, easily.
Wow. That is quite an endorsement.
And it was nice to watch it again.
I'd be inclined to agree with you, Chad, except for the fact that I've only seen this movie twice since it came out, and I don't know if I'll ever watch it again.
Really?
Wow. Why?
It's an excellent movie. It's just, I don't know, it's a hell of a meal to get through, and it's slow moving, and it's just not like, I honestly probably wouldn't have watched it again if we weren't doing this.
Yeah,
I think I attempted one watch in between, and I just was like, I just don't have the appetite for it.
Yeah, it's not unfair. I haven't seen it. I've probably seen it once since we did the show, 18 months, 2 years ago. But I agree that you need to be in the right headspace for it or in the mood for something that isn't like fucking wham bam. But I do think I'll probably rewatch it more and more as time goes on. Just probably not super frequently. I don't watch the original that much, to be honest, either. But I still have a soft spot for it, I guess.
No, they're both great movies. I mean, 2001 is a great movie, but,
yeah,
I don't watch that a lot either. So,
how many times have you seen the original? Ballpark.
The original Blade Runner?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe 10 times.
Yeah, I'm similar. Kev, is this like I've watched a billion times thing for you?
It's not quite like that. Like, I understand completely what Ben's saying, and I agree with those sentiments. Like, it's a lot to swallow, and it's so intense. It's really deep. There's a lot of layers to it. Like, just as an example, like this viewing, I pulled so much out of it that I just wasn't seeing before. There's so much to take in. It's like it's like the old 96er steak at the place, that Dan Aykroyd tries to eat, or John Candy tries to eat and finish in the great outdoors, man. Like you get to the end and you're kind of sweaty, man, and you feel like you're going to pass out. It's a lot. I watched it yesterday before I went to bed, and I was just like, on the one hand, not necessarily in a negative way, but I was just like, man, is this, I had a thought at one point, I was like, is this movie generating more footage as I'm watching it? Because it seems endless, That being said, this is easily in the pantheon of all-time great science fiction films. It's as good as the original, in my opinion. Like, it's so difficult to try to top a movie as iconic as Blade Runner. So to roll in the way Denis Villeneuve did and hand everybody this is worthy of a standing ovation, because you got just legions of nerds, and I mean, you know how these people are, man. We talked about this with the Star Wars films. We are those people, for Christ's sake. And
that's a death.
You're right, it's a death. And he even said, I know everybody's going to go to this movie with a baseball bat, and it's kind of like that. So to be able to continue the story of the original and knit it together the way that he did, and make at the same time a very original piece based on the lore of the original film, like, that's quite an accomplishment. So this movie goes in the all-time pantheon for me. To answer your original question, I've probably seen the original, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 times. I only have seen this one maybe 6 times. And you really, again, going back to what Ben said, like, you have to be really focused, man. A few of those viewings have been like, I'm going to bed, or this, or I was distracted. And you really need to be 100% committed to watching it so you can really absorb what's going on in the story and on the screen,
It's not a movie you put on to just be in the background while you're doing something else, I don't think.
Exactly, man. It is not one of those comfort food, like, here's my old buddy who's going to hang out with me while I noodle around on the computer. It's not like that at all. You have to be 100% committed because there's so much going on. So, yeah, I think that's it for my high level.
You got anything else there, Benny?
Should I?
Just if you had anything.
If you want.
No.
Nope.
You mentioned I listened to the first episode today, and you mentioned, Benny, that you didn't recall the soundtrack. I'm curious if you had any kind of thoughts on that this time around.
Yep, it's good. It's a good soundtrack.
Sweet.
What? It's good.
Short and sharp.
It's good. I think, I believe I didn't really notice it the first time, so I think it's certainly worthy of paying attention to, but it is one of those soundtracks that's so good it just sort of
blends,
melts into the movie and becomes part of the environment.
Not have said that better.
I paid a little closer attention to it this time around based on what you were saying, and like I kind of found it really drove a lot of tension, which I really enjoyed. And maybe it drove the tension in such a way that it did kind of fade back into the background, but I found it really, really powerful, really good, man. It's something to be said for even being able to be in the same universe as a Vangelis and hold your own.
Oh my God.
It's pretty remarkable.
I think that it's funny how, like, with this movie, that these two films and the two soundtracks, like, they're like the soundtrack is always part of the film, but in the case of the original with Vangelis, like, that score was very, very special, man, and very iconic, So to give a compliment like that, Chad, I think is incredibly high praise, because it's like you're iterating on the original work, and you're adding, obviously some updated techniques and all of that sort of thing. But the DNA is still there. And the way that it was utilized, like you said, it drove it. And like Ben said, it melted perfectly into the film. Like it was, at times it's just softly accentuating the what's happening on the screen, and then at other times it's just blaring and like in your face, and yet again accentuating what's happening on the screen. And I think it's perfectly done.
Yeah,
definitely gets like very intense during the the final showdown.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, I mean, it borrows from the original soundtrack by Vangelis for sure, and expands on it, I think.
Yeah, I think similar to the overall film and Denis Villeneuve, shepherding this in a way that was a good result. I still kind of feel like no matter what he did, it would never really surpass the original. And I kind of maybe feel similarly about the soundtrack. Like, neither the film nor the soundtrack are going to be better than the originals necessarily, but the fact that they can even come close or hold their own is pretty impressive.
And how he... Go ahead, Ben.
So you're never going to replicate that.
No,
you know?
no.
So don't bother.
That feeling of like, you know, I mean, seeing Blade Runner for the first time, the first movie, and being introduced to that world, that rich world, like you're never going to get that experience again. So considering that he came so close with this, I would say it's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think you'd be a fool to try to outdo Vangelis, man. You know, and the way that they dialed it in, and then they utilized some of the DNA from some of the tracks in the original, you know, to just kind of connect you to that, you know, in small ways, nothing crazy, you know, like there were little bits of Tears in the Rain at the end and, you know, just stuff like that I thought was super cool. You can hear the DNA of the original theme in the main theme of this, you know, but nothing like bashing you over the head with a soup can.
Yeah.
Don't know why I use that analogy, but hey.
You know, it was probably because you were hearkening back to the beef stew and, you know, like a can of Admiral Akbar's New England style clam chowder. That's probably where it all, you know, that's where it was coming from.
Yeah, a can of Ridley Scott's hearty beef stew.
Yeah.
Beef flavored stew.
Beef flavored stew, yeah.
Straight from our friends at the Morton Protein Farm. Right?
I'm just a farmer.
Oh man. So yeah, I'm glad that we're talking about the score. It's I think we said it all.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Gosling, man.
Dude, yes.
Like I like Ryan Gosling. I've definitely got a soft spot for him in general. I also like appreciate the memes about how he's, you know, super wooden and he always has these really weird screams in a lot of his movies. This one's no exception.
Yep.
But it was a good choice. I think he did a good job as Kay. And it opens with him kind of waking up, which I kind of, forgot about and dig the opening sequence.
What do you think about Gosling, Ben?
This movie definitely won me over to him. I was never really a huge fan before. Although, you know, I would say I thought he was serviceable. I just he didn't stand out as being a big deal in acting to me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You mean in general or in just in this movie?
In general, yeah.
I don't know, man.
Before this movie, that's how he seemed to me.
Yeah.
And I definitely thought he did very well in this. I was a little I had trepidation when I found out that he was going to be sort of the lead. And, you know, I was pleasantly surprised.
When I heard that he was cast as the lead, I was like, that's perfect. It's perfect. I was like, he's perfect. Because, I mean, I'm surprised to hear that somebody out there said that he's wooden as an actor. I've certainly
maybe not
watched
wooden.
plenty of... Well, no, I'm not saying you said it. I'm saying...
No, it was a bad choice of words, though. But, like, I guess like the vibe I get is, like, he's very subtle, and I think people would misperceive it as, like, he's just standing there, but he's not, you know? Like, maybe that's a description.
No. That's a good description, dude. It's kind of like, you know, when you mistake confidence for arrogance. You
Sure.
know, they're two different things, but they can be very confused very quickly, you know? And
I don't know, man.
I could definitely see that about Gosling. I thought he was perfect for this because he's a powerhouse, man. He's kind of an under the radar, in a sense, actor.
What? I don't know. He doesn't seem very under the radar to me.
As an actor, maybe, not as a heartthrob.
Under the radar in the sense that he's done a lot of films, and he's done a lot of great films. He's done plenty of high-profile films, but he's not like a summer blockbuster mega movie type of actor. Those aren't the roles that he typically does. He kind of stays away from that stuff. So he's not in like the limelight or the spotlight in that sense. I'm not saying that he's not well known or popular. I'm just saying and under the radar clearly wasn't the right choice of words, but I think you get what I'm saying. You know, he doesn't go in for like huge glitzy movies like that. In fact, as I was reading a little bit about this, this is not his normal bag, and it's a sequel, you know, but he was so into the script and working with Villeneuve that he decided to do it. And I think he's the perfect choice because he's such a powerhouse. He's like Leto, Jared Leto is the same thing. Like, I mean, Jared Leto is like crazy method acting. He gets so into what he's doing. I don't think Gosling goes about things the same way, but the result is the same. Like, as you said, Chad, he's super cerebral, man, and there's so much going on the inside there. I could see where people would think it's wooden, but that is absolutely not the case. Like, I was glued to him the entire time, and, you can just – it's such a subtle role, man, because you're playing a replicant, an android essentially, man, and then he starts to come unraveled, and we get to see, like, these really intense bits of emotion, as the story unfolds. So, at any rate, Ben, that was not the right choice of words. So, he's not under the radar, but I don't know. Do you know what I mean by that, what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I guess I get what you're saying. Under the radar was definitely a bad choice of words.
Yeah.
I kind of get the feeling that he just made it big with like The Notebook and became a huge heartthrob and used that fame to work on stuff that he wanted to work on. And he'll occasionally jump into bigger things like a La La Land or whatever, make his money, and then go and do stuff he wants to work on. So fair enough, I like him a lot. And, Drive, he was amazing. I think that's a really good movie by Nicholas Winding Refn. A lot of people don't like it, but I think it's fucking great.
A lot of people don't like Drive?
Yeah, a lot of people just have... I guess it's similar to this, where, like, it's not a normal paced movie, maybe, so people just get kind of weirded out by it.
Sure.
I loved him in his Ryan Gosling won't eat his cereal meme, which if you guys have never seen is like one of the best 2 minutes in fucking meme history. Like someone just holds up a spoonful of cereal to the multiple different takes from his movies, and it's the best fucking thing ever.
I need to see that.
Yeah, I think he was perfectly cast for this. I think it plays into his quote unquote woodenness where, an android coming to life and becoming human in his own, perception is very fitting for someone like him. So yeah, I like him in this. I think he did a good job.
I think he did a great job.
And I think it was a good counterpoint to the broody noirness of Deckard in the original.
Yes, absolutely, man. I think that just thinking about some of his other work for a second, like I can't understand why people would say that about Drive. Drive was it's so good, man. It's so noir. Like, it's such a modern noir that even takes place a lot in the daytime. It's such an excellent movie, man. And I agree with what you said. Like, he got his fame doing The Notebook, and I agree. I think that's what he does. He picks projects that interest him, things that he wants to do, and La La Land was a small movie, actually, and it just was one of those kind of, had the kind of the Hangover, the Star Wars effect, where it just blew up and just turned into something massive, but it's still it's a small film, and it's an arty film, like it's an art piece, like, so it's not like he jumped in to do Exploder 6, in 2019, and then he went back to doing the small films. Like, he really doesn't seem to do much of anything like that. Like, he was great in The Big Short. He was kind of the narrator in The Big Short. I don't know if you guys saw that or not.
That's a great movie.
Really great. Yeah, excellent movie. And also in Crazy Stupid Love, So he plays a variety of different characters as well. He's not always stuck playing some quiet, sort of seemingly quote unquote wooden guy. You know what I mean? I think he abides by the principle of less is more, and less really is more a lot of times on screen and on stage. So that's that.
Him and Bautista in the beginning is really sets the
Excellent.
tone nicely. I just you mentioned previously it was a Hampton Fancher scene from the original movie that was never included, even if it was never shot. But
Did I mention that?
Yeah, in the first episode of our show. But believe it or not,
it's become like a lore centerpiece around these movies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Stupid pot of stew.
But I like the way that they play off of each other. I think it just kind of like sets you up early to just be like, oh wow, okay, yeah, no, this is well shot, well put together, well acted, and it just kind of sets the tone from the get go pretty well.
I agree. The opening is excellent, and Bautista is great. He's another one of these guys, being a wrestler and making the transition and really knocking it out of the park all over the place. I was really surprised I was surprised in Guardians of the Galaxy how funny he was. And then by the time I got to this, I was not surprised one bit. You know, he's really excellent, man. And excellent as Sapper, and that whole interplay, everything about that opening inside the cabin is just excellent.
Kev, you mentioned the shorts throughout, I don't know, in various episodes in our, history. I hadn't watched any of them until just this week or whatever. The Sapper Morton short with Bautista was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the shorts in general. Like, I just kind of don't really give them much of a shit and whatever, but it was kind of interesting to see some kind of secondary stuff.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I still haven't watched all of them. I watched the Watanabe one last night, which was the animated one.
Oh, yeah, the dude from Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, in the Animatrix, yep. And I enjoyed it. It was good. It was great to get a little 15-minute backstory. It was part of the featurette that I have because I bought this on Vudu. And there's an intro by Denis, and he says that, he wanted to explore key moments in a couple of short films. And so he made these three. One was about the blackout, and then, the other two. And the animated one was Watanabe, and then the other two were actually directed by Ridley Scott's son, Luke Scott. So that was kind of interesting. I still haven't watched them, so sorry.
It's all right. Do you see those ones at all, Benny?
No, I only ever saw the one with Bautista.
Yeah, the other ones are, none of them are overly fantastic. They're just kind of, shorts or whatever. The Bautista one's cool, and then the other one is just Niander Wallace sitting in front of some people in an office trying to convince them to let him make replicants again. So, I don't know. They're only like 5 minutes each, but...
Did he have his vision?
Yeah, did he have his vision?
I don't think he did. Maybe he did. I don't know. I gave so little shits about it that maybe I didn't pay close enough attention. Maybe he did. I like that little nugget about how method Leto was in the sense that he shot all of his scenes blind. Like he couldn't see it all with those contacts in, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very Jared Leto. It's sort of the way he rolls. He did he does that on every one of his movies. Dallas Buyers Club, same thing, and he stays in character the entire time he's shooting.
It's an odd guy.
Which is, yeah, odd guy, but man, he does some really interesting work for sure, and his body of work is very varied and interesting. Let's touch on the cinematography. You mentioned that in the beginning, Chad.
Yeah, man. Won an Oscar finally. Roger Deakins finally got his Oscar, which is pretty cool.
I know, right?
I've always been in love with the cinematography in this. Like, it's really beautiful. And then recently enjoyed 1917, which we've talked about a bit here and there, which Deakins also did. Dude's super talented, man. It's just, yeah. I feel like
seriously,
Villeneuve's a good director, but like I feel like Deakins could make a shitty director look great. Like the dude is just a talent.
Well, if you're putting,
it is a beautiful film.
Yeah. If you're doing stuff like he did in this movie, absolutely, man.
It's just gorgeous stuff. It's almost like every frame's a painting kind of thing. Like it's just fucking stunning. I don't really know if I have much more to say about it other than it's just fantastic.
I mean, the film is just gorgeous to look at. And I was mesmerized by just the way they used light in the movie. As much as the soundtrack, sometimes it's very in your face, and sometimes it's just, as Ben said, melting into the film, and it's other times very comforting and very reassuring, and it's also mesmerizing, like when they're inside the Wallace facility, I like how they replicated the look of light through water everywhere that we got from the first film. It was kind of a minor thing in the first film, but they really took that and blew it up in this one. And I really dug that a lot because that's a very comforting, relaxing visually to see. You know what I mean? And it was also interesting how, I don't know if I was noticing this for the first time and this may not be right, but it seemed like the light was following them. Like that was the lighting system, and it seemed to kind of follow them wherever they went. And I think the first couple of watches, I thought like, oh, well, it's just sort of incidental. But when I was watching it this time, I was like, I think it's designed that way, like inside that building to do that, So the room is dark, and then when people walk in the room, like the light follows them in that way, but it almost always looks like it's light coming from, say like outside in at sunset. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was really, really well done. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like the reception area at Wallace when he first goes in, like the room is completely pitch black except for that super cool L-shaped band that you see at the reception desk, of that yellow light. And it just pops like crazy, man. It's just, I don't know, really, really interesting, man. Even outside in the city, so, the lighting and the cinematography was, different for each scene. So like, when he's flying over sort of the dreary sections of the city, like everything was gray, there was no like popping eye candy type of light like that, but then other times you'd see like these drab overviews of the city and it would just be drab and gray, but then there'd be these little pockets of, blue light from where these little corners of life are in the city. And I absolutely loved it, man. I was super focused on it on this viewing, and I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, no doubt. The choice of color, like you mentioned a minute ago, is super interesting too. From what I understand, the use of red and yellow is very intentional. So I saw somebody saying that they think that the yellow was like Kay's on the right path and red is like blocking his path. And so like the yellow L in the Wallace lobby, for example, is like he's on the right track kind of stuff. So it's just, there's a lot of subtlety to the cinematography for sure.
Yeah, it's really, really thoughtful. Really, really good. What did you think, Ben? Any thoughts about that?
The scene that really stuck out to me cinematography-wise, because it just looked like something they'd plucked out of an anime or something. It's really kind of surreal. It's a surreal scene, and it's beautifully shot. And we've talked about it before, but it's 10-story high pink naked Joy talking to Kay, and just it's like he's on foot in the city on like a sky bridge, and it's just sort of like it's got all these little things that are incredible about it as far as how it's shot. And it struck me as being it's like, wow, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this in a live action movie. Like I could picture it in something like Ghost in the Shell or, some classic anime. And just to see that shot live action is definitely a magical scene.
Yeah, and it wasn't throwaway either. Like the fact that it was like after Joy had been crushed from his life and he's broken and he's like just wandering aimlessly like a, noir detective with fucking sipping from his flask metaphorically, and she's just, the advertisement interacts with him and says a lot of the same things that his Joy said to him, so it just deflates whether she gave a shit at all, and like there's just so many layers to it as well. So not only is it beautiful, but it's like not throwaway, which I like, because a lot of those types of scenes in an anime like Ghost in the Shell are eye candy as opposed to like much more maybe. And yeah, I'm totally with you on that one.
Yeah, and we talked about it at length in the first one, but I just happened to notice how beautifully shot it was,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I'm never going to look at that scene the same again. Like that's well said, man.
Yeah.
It's really good like that. And like you said, Chad, the way it ties in with everything else that's going on in that moment is fantastic. That's a really good point. I also just, what was popping into my head too, just right now is, more towards the beginning, like when he goes home for the first time and we get a couple of street views, during this course of this film. And those are definitely, they somewhat harken back to the original film, which I love. It's like I love seeing that street level everyday life in the world.
Light up umbrellas.
2049 or even 2017 as the original was, and it's just all the super weird vehicles cruising around, and it was again really, really cool. And again, use of light, all of that sort of stuff, man. The way he shot it all, and those street scenes were very dark, and then you just have like the little droplets of light, like from the umbrellas, like you said, or like the signs on the top of the vehicles. It was just really well done, man. Really well done. Kudos to Deakins.
No doubt. The only thing that comes to mind for me, other than all of the frames are composed very well and lit very well, is the the Wallace HQ stuff. Like the maybe it's not cinematography per se, but the set design marrying with the cinematography in those scenes was quite unique. Like
super cool.
Obviously, the original, they were really big on set design, and like Deckard's apartment in particular, they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars just putting that one apartment together, et cetera, et cetera. So like, there's something to be said for spending a good amount of money and time on the designs. And I feel like Kay's apartment had some similarities to the level of care, even though it was super sparse and very like concrete slab kind of thing. But Wallace's HQ was pretty remarkable. The water scene, like you're saying, like the weird square in the middle of the pool, but even just the other stuff too, like the library where the weird bald guy's going to find the stuff, and then I don't know. I like that weird bald guy too, where he's like, oh, my mom still cries over the lost baby pictures, and he's like, that's a shame. You must have been adorable. It's just some really great little quips in here for sure.
It is, and you can't really tell if he's being sarcastic or if he's just, that's the deadpan kind of replicant reply. You know what I mean? It's I enjoyed that as well. I like that actor. So yeah, let's dig into the rest of the cast and just kind of, we can hit the other points as we go through that. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds good.
I'm gonna start with Love.
Sylvia Hoeks.
Sylvia Hoeks. Very interesting character and played with an expert, terrifying quality by Sylvia.
Absolutely masterful, like, character. Unbelievable. On this viewing especially, I was just blown away with what she brought to the table.
Same here. I can't stress that enough. Like you said it. It's she's just terrifying. I haven't seen a character quite that terrifying in a while. She did it right. I mean, there's a lot of people in a lot of movies that try to be scary, and you're just like, This was like genuinely terrifying to me.
Mm.
Yeah, I think she let just enough of the, or at least in proper order, let the unhinged side of that character come to the forefront,
Mm.
Because when you see her, she's either completely collected and calm, or, it seems like as the film goes on and you start to realize that she's sort of Neander's like hit android or whatever, just sort of a soldier, she takes on increasingly more, I don't know, kind of hardcore tasks, I guess, from stealing the bones from the morgue there and killing the dude there, like just sort of quickly to, to killing Robin Wright, which is definitely far more unhinged, to the final battle where she's just like a fucking wild animal, she's just completely rabid.
Mm.
So she's sort of you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, my God, dude, absolutely, man. You nailed it. It makes total sense. Especially the part of how much she was letting out and when. Like, oftentimes, like, on the screen, well, in life too, but on the screen, like, an actor will be, like, composed, but you can feel the energy underneath and you can feel the rage underneath. With this chick, it's like she had the rage at the back of the hallway or the back of the room, and it would just come like flying down the hallway in like 2 seconds. It was intense. And I don't know, you kind of said it, man. There's not much to add there, really. It was just the perfect mix, balance, and the timing, as well. It was just excellent.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the first few times I saw this, I was so enamored with her performance and the way that she played off of the other characters and whatever scenes she shared with them. The thing I liked most about it was very much like what you said, Benny, where she loses it or becomes unhinged and kind of that ferocity builds throughout the movie. And then I ended up seeing a quote from the actor who said that she's a 12-year-old girl and is supposed to be like
totally
immature and petulant like a 12-year-old, which after reading that, I watched it, before reading, I watched the movie after reading the that particular quote, and it kind of painted it in a new light. And I gotta say, I prefer the original perception. I'm not super pumped about the 12-year-old girl thing, but it definitely kind of helped explain some of the behavior and, you know, her really twisted relationship with Wallace, where Wallace is a father, a boss, kind of like a mafia don. She's the hit robot or whatever, and, you know, presumably like a lover too. So it's a really fucked up situation there.
Yeah, it's super messed up, no doubt. I think my perception of it before you just said that was that there was a childlike quality to her. So
Definitely.
not that she was, you know, Ben, not that she was just like a raging sort of 12-year-old, but, you know, she's a replicant first and foremost, and that she has a childlike quality to her. And you hear it, you know, at times when she, you know, is saying like, you know, I'm the best one, you know,
yeah.
I was the favorite one, you know, like
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
yeah, she's like vying for dad's attention, parents' attention.
It's like that petty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's her motivation.
But every 12-year-old says shit like that. Like, I remember, I don't know about you, but I like remember being 12 and either having shit like that said to me or saying shit like that to somebody else. Like, it's totally the way that they act.
Oh yeah. I mean, a petulant 12-year-old doesn't sound scary until they're A, kind of psychotic, and B, they're an android with like the strength of 10 men and the speed of like a, you know, a fucking mantis. It's then it becomes fucking scary.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll add to that, Ben, is that, you know, it's a replicant that doesn't really know any better. You know, it's programmed with what it's programmed, you know, and
Yeah.
maybe that's not exactly accurate, but I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say, you know.
Her scene with Madam Robin Wright was just like fucking mind-blowing, the two of them in that scene. Just the, you know, you think it's going to be just kind of like a normal "fuck you, where is he" kind of thing, and then she just grabs the glass and shatters it and just like crushes the glass into her hand. It's just so amazing. And
also, like, her line there is great because it's unexpected. It's very what a human would do, you know, that the replicants sometimes have a hard time understanding, which is, I don't know, there's an interesting interplay going on in that statement that I just made right there throughout this movie. You know, it's like sometimes the replicants understand humanity better than the humans, and then sometimes the humans get it better than the replicants. You know what I mean? And in this scene, when Robin Wright says, "You're going to do what you're going to do,"
Yeah, do what you got to do.
like do whatever you're going to do, you know, and you can almost see the puzzlement on her face. You know, she's like, "I don't understand this. How could you not fight back? Like, da 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 da. Why would you not just tell me?" You know, like, I don't know. It's just interesting. Like, there's almost like every single line that is spoken in this movie means something. You know, it's very well crafted in that respect, I think.
Yeah, no doubt.
I wasn't trying to segue away from but I just that particular scene was really intense. You know, like grabbing the glass and grabbing the hand with the glass and then crushing it and then crushing it some more. You know, and then for her to just be like, do whatever, do what you're gonna do.
It'd be a good segue into Robin Wright.
Perfect. This is one of those movies where we don't know the names of all the characters because they don't go out of their way to say them or let you know that in the film. Her name is actually Lieutenant Joshi, which I didn't know until I looked it up on Wikipedia.
I like the use of Madam.
Same. I really like that a lot.
It kind of gives a bit of a
Star Trek vibe?
Well, I was thinking more like a cat house prostitute vibe. Like, she's the madam in the sense of like replicants are subhuman and are treated like objects. That's kind of maybe where my head was at with that.
No. I'm with you. I had a note about something similar to that. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
But Robin Wright was excellently cast here. She's fantastic.
I really just meant that it was, you know, similar in the sense that like the person in charge is a female. So the identifier used, you know? That's all.
Yeah.
Like in a sense of respect, like we've seen that sort of thing in, you know, like some of the Bond movies and in Star Trek as well with the female captains, you know, and calling them ma'am or mum or, you know, madam. I dig it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I'm out of line there just based on perceptions, but
I don't think so, Chad.
That was the vibe I got.
The when Kay comes out of meeting the daughter, whatever her name is, I don't remember.
Stelline,
yeah. And he gets picked up by the police. The police say, like they're speaking over the loudspeaker, like, stay where you are, you're under arrest. Madam needs to see you. They actually say that. So like they call her that. So it's not just, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's like an identifier / term of respect. I don't.
Yeah, I definitely took it as a term of respect, but I kind of was just feeling that other undertone there too.
Well, I don't think that undertone is unfounded, Chad, because one of my notes, again, I got a lot out of this viewing, and one of the things I kept noticing about Robin Wright's character was that she treats him and refers to him like a human when it suits her, and she treats him and refers to him and speaks to him like a replicant when it suits her.
Or like a dog occasionally too, the whole good boy thing.
Exactly. So in that sense, yes, that's where your comment about a sort of a cat house madam resonated with me. How she's, somewhat the queen bee in that respect, kind of running the show. But I just found it to be an interesting dynamic between the two of them. I mean, it's not a ton of the movie that we see them interacting, but there's enough scenes in there, and one of the last ones is when she says, what happens if I finish this bottle? Or what happens if I finish this? Like it's so kind of twisted and weird the way that she's like, well, right now I'm thinking about using you as a sex toy, and then other times it's like, hey, you did a really good job out there, really appreciate it. And then other times she's just like, are you saying no to me?
You're doing fine without it. Without what? Without a soul.
Yes, exactly. There's so much great subtext there too. Even when she doesn't say certain things, you can just feel her saying or thinking like, oh, was that a no? Are you saying no to me? Like, do I need to take you down to the garage and have your head dismantled? Like that kind of thing, So I don't know. That just fascinated me this watch around. And it's Robin Wright pen.
Yeah, I kind of got she speaks to him it's kind of like a printer, She's like, you don't say like good job printer, She's like, yeah, that's your fucking job, you print shit out, and then when the printer doesn't work, you office space the thing in a field with a hammer, She just gives so few fucks about him throughout a lot of the scenes. It's like if a printer was anthropomorphic,
Would you say that she's Michael Bolton or is she Samir?
She's probably Michael Bolton. Yeah.
Or is she Peter? She's the person that drives the thing out to the field, opens the trunk, and then the other two guys get excited.
Yeah, maybe.
And just a correction, it's Robin Wright again. It's not Robin Wright pen anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Did I say pen?
No, I said Robin Wright pen.
Oh, okay.
She's just, I don't know if you guys watched House of Cards. She's just...
Yeah, it's good stuff.
She's a baller, man. She has been since Princess Bride, before that. Like, she just really knows what she's doing. And she just got presence and knows her craft. And she's gorgeous. I mean, she's, my God, dude, she's in her 50-something and she still just looks incredible too, man, and such intensity. Commands, owns the mat, as it were.
Your comment about the fact that Madam, a.k.a. the boss cop, is played by a woman before, I really do think that if it had been the old, like, dude, boss, Sarge kind of trope, it wouldn't have done anywhere near as well.
No way. I agree. That it would have been just that, a cliche and a trope. A cliche-trope. Huh? No?
Just like bordering on a, like...
Maybe.
Dolores Seinfeld, the, like, name sounds like a sexual thing.
Mulva?
Exactly. A clitrope? Like a what? I had to go there. Sorry.
No, I think it was great that you went there. I'm going to put the clitrope Mulva. It's a death.
While we're in the police station, I enjoyed the like fuck off skin job, the like hosing the blood off the walls at the end of the day, janitors kind of thing, and the cells interlinked kind of thing. There's some pretty interesting stuff in the police station.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too. It was like the racism of that was intense. How he even kind of was ducking his head down, like wincing a little bit, I was like, wow, okay.
What did you think of that cells interlinked stuff, Benny?
I was just going to ask, what did you think the deal is with, the interviews? Is that like, I don't know, the 2049 equivalent of the Voight-Kampff test, or what?
Yeah.
What are they trying to fucking measure there? Like, I don't quite understand. They keep talking about, oh yeah, your baseline. Oh, you're way off baseline. Like, what the fuck is baseline? They don't explain anything there.
Yeah.
I found myself actually a little bit annoyed by it this time.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't well explained.
But I kind of like that sometimes. I kind of like when you're not beaten over the head with the explanations.
No, it's like, was the point with like the interlinked and all of that stuff to trip him up? Like, was he supposed to, like, if his baseline was way off, was he supposed to say the wrong thing? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, and if that's the case, because they sort of lead you to believe that, but then they don't ever show you what happens if he does, or, like, I don't know, whatever. It just stuck out as, yeah, I had questions about it.
Yeah. I mean, the Voight-Kampff thing was somewhat similar, it's like there's a turtle on its back, or there's just some weird shit being said. It's kind of situation and then the person's response.
Right, but you're looking for a response in the, it's something that happens in the eye. Like, like, okay, that makes sense to me. Nothing is explained at all.
Yeah.
He's just answering questions in a booth.
There is like a pseudo camera on the wall and stuff. I guess I just inferred that it was similar to the Voight-Kampff thing, but I don't know. I just I think I'm super artsy fartsy because I really enjoyed the like nonsense nature of it. It was almost like fucking beat poetry or some shit where you're just like, whoa, what is happening here? I have no fucking clue. And I was just kind of like, okay, I'm along for the ride. But
yeah, totally. Maybe it's because I'm inferring things from it, but it feels like they took you 75% of the way there and then left you hanging with with like what's actually happening through those scenes, because they, it happens a couple times in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I enjoyed it for sure. I thought it was cool. I liked the whole idea of the bass line and, when he was off the bass line and when he was on the bass line and all that sort of thing.
Hey, hold on. So when he was on bass line, he was playing the song proper, and when he was off bass line, he was like Death doing a 3-hour bass solo.
Yeah. It was like the bass fight in Scott Pilgrim.
I didn't even get it when you started saying it. It took me like a few seconds.
It was tragically stupid.
No, it was great though. It was even better that I didn't get it. In fact, that's a death for me.
I think Joy would be worth getting into, especially considering that her interaction with Mackenzie Davis's character. We can do a bit of Mackenzie Davis in there too.
And who is Mackenzie Davis again?
She was the prostitute that Joy inhabits during the weird hologram threesome scene.
Oh, sure, you betcha.
Oh, yeah. It's Flea in the interview.
So Joy is such an interesting character, and Ana de Armas, or however you pronounce her name, she did a great job. I think the movie would have been lesser without the third-class citizen, a.k.a. a hologram that even the replicants treat like shit. Like, it was just such an interesting layer.
The replicants treat like shit? What do you mean?
Yeah, it's the whole, like, Mackenzie Davis's character. Here's I think it's Peter in the Wolf Chime. It's like, oh, you don't like real girls. And then later, after the threesome, it's like, Joy's like, I'm done with you. You can go now. And then Mackenzie Davis is like,
I've been inside you. There's not much there.
Exactly. So it's just interesting that the replicants kind of mimic the behavior of the humans towards replicants, and they're behaving as if Joy is not a real entity. So it's just it's like a subtle kind of twist of the knife, if you will.
But a humongous underlying thread throughout the entire movie. Just that whole dynamic is just there again and again and again, and I absolutely love it. It's become one of my favorite things about this movie. The way she plays it, the way he plays it, their interaction. I mean, was Mariette, Mackenzie Davis's character, was she a replicant?
Yes.
Okay, because it's not... I was confused because when they're at the noodle bar, she's like, oh, he doesn't like real girls. And so that, to me, I couldn't figure out if he meant the other two were real women or that she was a real woman. It was confusing. So
no, she was talking about Joy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right. No, I get that. But I took it as like, he doesn't like real girls, meaning replicants versus humans. So I clearly took it took it the wrong way, or didn't get it, as it were. But I think his interaction with her interests me a great deal as well, because they're almost like kindred spirits in a sense. you know, like they're kind of lost in the world, these almost beings, these almost humans, you know, that aren't quite. And it's like they're taking refuge with each other, you know, and it's clear, I think now, that like they love each other, you know, like after watching this, you know, 5 times or whatever, that's what I get when I watch it, you know, and it's just a interesting dynamic. You know, the way she treats him and the way he treats her. And it's weird. Sometimes he can touch her when she has the emulator, and then sometimes he can't. Or you know, I don't know. That was all very interesting. You know, and then obviously the syncing up part was interesting too, but those other dynamics I found just fantastic. Anybody at all?
Yeah, I was just leaving some space.
I was just wondering, like, what they were like before the events of this movie. You know, like how long had Kay been interacting with Joy?
My feeling is that it was very much like we get in the very beginning when she, you know, he comes in and she's like, "Oh, hello, baby sweet," and I'm trying something new for you.
Very
and,
Siri-esque.
Yeah, you know, but also like pretending to be like people as much as they can. You know what I mean?
I kind of get the feeling, to your question, Ben. I never thought of that or considered that, but my initial reaction is probably not very long at all, because Joy's arc in the movie, she starts very Siri-esque, and as a result, I kind of infer that it's like she's the program or whatever is getting to know Kay, versus the end, the program has figured out what he needs / wants. And the scene that you mentioned on the catwalk or whatever, Skybridge, inferring that she actually isn't necessarily a being in an AI sense and just was really reading into what he wanted, and it actually wasn't real love, which I don't know if I want to buy, but I kind of get the feeling that
Right.
Just like you don't know if Deckard's a replicant or not in the first one, I think like whether the love is real or not is meant to be really a huge question mark in this. So
Certainly real to Kay, so.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Or he wants it to be real.
And I bought it. I totally bought it. You know, when she gets crushed at the end, I was just like, fuck, man. You know, like I totally believed it.
I think Joy does too, don't you think, Ben?
I don't know. I can't answer that question.
That the scene that Ben was talking about earlier, where the gigantic Joy is there, like I feel like that is there to deflate part of the sureness of her being in love with him as well. I want them to love each other, but
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the fact that he buys the emitter as a gift to her, and he wishes her a happy birthday or a happy anniversary or whatever. So I'm just wondering if that means that they were something would lead me to believe there that like they had been interacting for a while, or he had had her for a while, and
that's true.
Was looking to sort of like upgrade the experience.
Definitely.
Yeah, just interesting to think about.
Yeah, I think it is too. I mean, they clearly do a lot together, and you can infer that from that short scene in the beginning. You know, it's like they read together. You know, he's like, "Do you want me to read to you?" Then she's like, "Let's dance." Like they clearly do a lot of stuff. You know, what other companion would a replicant have? You know, I don't know, none. I guess like it's almost perfect. Like he needs her. Like I don't know. It's when he seems most human too, sort of. I mean. That's sort of a loaded statement, but
yeah, you're right.
You see a lot of his quote. You know what I mean? Like you see a lot of his humanity come out when he's interacting with her. Certainly at the beginning, you know, you get a very like, you know, at times we get these little glimpses of that kind of noir detective. You know, like baby, you could never disappoint me. You know, like that type of thing. You know, when he's sitting there with having a smoke, you know, waiting, having a drink, waiting for the food. Like I don't know.
When you were saying a second ago about what companion would a replicant have, it kind of was a bit of a flash for me, because really the implied Deckard may or may not be a replicant, and they chose to leave it ambiguous here, even though Ridley Scott's commented on it, blah, blah, blah. There's no real example of replicants pairing up or partnering up, really, you know? So it's almost like the moment in history for the replicants who are clearly seeking some form of independence isn't kind of in a traditional storytelling sense of like, we just want our freedom. We want to be left alone to live our lives and raise our replicant families. Like they're not even at that stage yet. They're still just like figuring out how to I don't know, have a soul, I guess, it's just kind of interesting. The only example of partnership is this with Joy and Kay.
And Deckard with Rachel too, right? No?
Yeah. But like it's implied that Deckard is a replicant. But yeah, those two relationships are kind of the only actual relationships. Like you could maybe say like Batty and Pris had kind of a polyamorous thing going on, but like I don't think that it's even important in that context of the original. So it's just I had never considered the fact that the replicants don't have any sort of I don't know, racial
connection with another.
Like it's not even about like cultural or societal or minority group thing. It's like they're literally objects in the eyes of humanity. So
yeah, and then going back to what I said before about Robin Wright, but they forget sometimes, because sometimes she treats him like a person, sometimes she doesn't treat him like a person. You know what I mean? That dynamic in and of itself is just super interesting throughout this movie. That idea, and I agree with everything you just said. You're right. It's the idea of companionship. I mean, they're sort of growing as a species, because now they are a species, right? So that wasn't in the original Philip K. Dick vision, and really Blade Runner isn't very much like the original book anyway. So, in terms of expanding the lore and the story, like they're an infant species, man,
Yeah, that's a great,
discovering their souls, discovering their humanities. Like that's what's one of the cool, interesting parts of this film, rather.
Yeah, species is the right word for sure.
Yeah, God, I don't know. I don't know how deep down the rabbit hole we want to go. One thing that popped into my head was that, it's like Neander is trying to make replicants that can procreate so that, I don't know, we can race to populate the galaxy. I don't quite understand what the point of
I didn't get that either, man.
I think it's just
humanity like settling other worlds and populating, all these interstices and dark spaces in the galaxy. Like, what the fuck is the point if you're sending what you don't consider to be people out there to do it? But
right.
Wow. I don't know. Anyways, that didn't make much sense to me. But also the other hole there is like, if replicants don't seem to have an affinity for each other, like, how are you going to get them making babies? Like,
it's like the two tigers in captivity that never hook up, kind of thing.
Right. Right.
The other thing, like, attached to what you're saying, Ben, that is intriguing to me is it's like, okay, like he has the line where he's like, I brought us to 9 new worlds, and it's like everything that you just said, like he's making the replicants so we can go out and like populate the universe. And it's like, from the sense of like a power complex, it's like he's like, fixated on like colonizing these planets and like making the replicants to do that. Because as he says, like every new society was, created on the backs of a slave race, but it's almost like he's got it confused in the sense that, like, in terms of power, right, and having a god complex, creating people is more ultimate, I would think, than like colonizing the solar system or the galaxy. You know what I mean? So it seems kind of like backwards and petty in a weird way. Like, are you feeling me there?
Yeah. Also, it's like, for what fucking purpose?
Well, that's what I mean. It's like you're
if you
already
want to move. If you want to, like, why if there's like humanity is dwindling and the Earth, like there's barely anybody on the Earth, and like people in general seem to be on a decline. Like, why do you want to essentially increase the population artificially so that we're forced to go and populate more world? Like, it just, none of that makes any sense to me at all. Like, I don't get it.
I agree.
I feel like it's I feel like it makes sense through the lens of like the mega entrepreneur, like the mega entrepreneurs of the world. Well, there are some mega entrepreneurs in the world who don't care what they monopolize. They just want a monopoly. And I get the feeling that his God complex is like a combination of being disconnected from humanity, therefore not caring about humanity per se, and he can create his own humanity by like getting these designed beings to procreate. So I feel like it's just like he is the god of those beings, and those beings monopolizing the universe for he doesn't care about the purpose of that monopoly. He just wants the monopoly. So that's kind of the vibe I get. But I mean, his rise to riches was feeding a starving human populace. So you could easily see how he would just not give a fuck about humanity because, he probably just sees the human race as weak and wants to design something better or something. But that was the vibe.
Well, and he's
I got.
right, and he's so far removed from the human race at this point. Look at just the way he sees, with those weird implants and those floating little beans or whatever the hell they are, man. It's like, there's just 4 of them, that's an incredible amount of sight that you would have. You know what I mean? Like having 4 inputs as opposed to 2 that are right next to each other. What?
I don't know. I'm just wondering if I'd rather have that or have Geordi LaForge's, banana clip visor.
I'm going to go with the LaForge banana clip visor for my own personal choice.
4 movable points? That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, that would be pretty sick.
Yeah, but then you have to be like a drone pilot and like a cinematographer and all these things at the same time instead of just having a perspective.
It's interesting though you bringing that up because it's like very obvious now that I think about it that it's even more disconnected. Like one of his key senses is literally disconnected from his humanity.
Right.
It's super obvious, but it's just it really hammers home how unhuman he is and how little he gives a shit about humanity.
I mean, he's got a different perspective, by being physically blind and by virtue of his sort of position in society. I mean, I don't know. I got into a back and forth with one of the listeners last night about this, and we were just literally talking about the blindness only, and like, what does it mean symbolically? Like, why did they choose to have, I mean, maybe this is going a little too deep, but why did they choose to have him blind? You know what I mean? First and foremost. And secondly, is it sort of part of his, would-be God complex? I don't know.
I don't know.
Kind of ties back to my comment before, like, and what Ben was saying, like, why I don't understand why he's so interested in colonizing all these planets. Like, if you're creating beings, like, you basically hit the God complex mark.
Yeah, I disagree.
You know what I mean?
I disagree. I think like
you don't think so?
You can make something like make an object, make a product, but to then have that product be able to replicate exponentially, like it's a completely different thing,
But you're looking at it in terms of a product.
Well, like they are beings generally fine. They like, I guess we touched on this a tiny bit in the other episode in the sense that we talked about them as clones. So let's just call them clones for now. So, okay, cool.
Sure.
You're cloning humans, like let's remove the android element for the purpose of the conversation. So cool. You're cloning humans and you're, growing them in vitro or whatever. Okay, cool. Yes, you're bringing clones to life. But if in this hypothetical the clones were sterile, and then you were able to make them not sterile, then it's a greater accomplishment in the terms of just like producing more clones, I guess, if that makes sense.
No doubt.
So I kind of feel like you're quote unquote helping humanity by creating these clones, but like by allowing them to be able to procreate again, like that's just like a whole nother level of problem space, I guess, or like it gives
godhood.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Well, godhood, but I was actually, what I was going to say was what you said. Like, you're just opening yourself up to a whole host of problems with the procreation, man.
Yeah.
Because now they can essentially go off on their own and just multiply and multiply and multiply.
But
what keeps them beholden to you?
Exactly.
I don't know if he wants them to be beholden so much as I feel like he's like ultimately cynical about humanity. It's like he's just like he's almost like wants to be the god of the post-human.
So he's trying to like replace humanity. Is that your proposal?
Maybe he's just like fuck humanity. I'm the god of the post-humans. If they destroy humanity, fine by me.
That kind of makes sense.
I don't know. He's so disconnected that it wouldn't surprise me.
I'll buy that.
Yeah.
I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, we got to do that soon. Oh, I think it's actually on the schedule soon.
I think it is. It's
what the hell is the car called? The SUX 2000 or something?
Yeah, the SUX 2000, man. That was the best.
Speaking of,
So we went down a bit of a rabbit hole there, but Jealous Joy, man, I really liked how Jealous Joy was, and the little like Peter and the Wolf chimes whenever he was hanging out with another girl. I thought was
That's
really funny.
what that damn song was. Peter and the Wolf. I could not think of it. I knew the tune. I just couldn't think of what it was.
before we get away from it, I just got to say, Blade Runner has had all kinds of cool tech, like, you know, the guns and the spinners and all that stuff. The one thing that stuck out to this movie that I really love, and I don't know why, is when he's going to evaluate the new replicant. Joy comes in with like this little case and opens it up, and it's filled with all these little different like chiclets.
Yep.
And she hands him one, and he puts it on, and that's when the drones come in. Like, I just love that little
was so
box
sick.
with the little like chiclets in it. Like, I don't know why, I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's like the keyboard nerds that have all the little key switches there.
Adam Savage, if you're listening, like One Day Build, hello.
Yeah,
Do it.
totally. There was some cool videos of Adam Savage like on with the prop masters for this movie that are worth checking out for sure. Yeah, I'm with you, Benny. It would totally reminded me of like keyboard nerds that have the little like, you know, key switches, different like the cherry browns and the cherry reds, and it totally had that little, I don't know, fidget spinnery thing kind of element to it, but was also like a cool little cigar case and was also like a anime-esque element.
Yeah, it was just a neat little artifact.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Cherry MX Reds.
Do you know what I mean, though? Like all those keyboard nerds, man.
What are you gonna, Mr. Wallace, what are you going to put on today? I think I'll choose Cherry MX Reds.
That's what my keyboard has in it, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
What, you have Cherry MX Reds on your...
Yeah, I believe they're MX Reds, yeah.
I just like that you can like get the sample keys and stuff.
They're cherry switches. I'm not sure if they're red. I'm pretty sure they're reds, actually.
I don't think I have cherries. I have like a cheap... I have a good mechanical keyboard. I like it. It's a Chinese brand. It's definitely not Cherry MX Red, but it's clicky and loud. Anyway, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, well, let's stick on the tech for a second. I mean, the tech. I mean, I don't know. You kind of said it in that one quick swoop, Ben. I mean, the spinners are great. Everybody loves the spinners. All of the stuff. I found it all to be very cool. Like it had, you know, plenty futuristic, and then some was kind of retro futuristic, like same as Blade Runner, man. Just the same, more of the same. Just excellent, you know. I think that thing that you just mentioned was probably the standout item. You know, that plus the Joy emulator, you know.
Yeah, that was cool looking too. The little hologram jukebox
that was cool.
Deckard had in his little lounge apartment there, that was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting, some of the retro tech items like that, you know. I mean, hell, even that whole room with the whole Elvis show.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Interesting and cool, you know.
The fact that there was sound for parts and no sound and the lights were flashing, it was a pretty cool sequence.
No doubt.
Definitely.
As far as props
Might be a
and
good
tech...
place.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
As far as props and tech for me, the only thing that comes to mind is the scene where Love and Kay are in the archives in the basement, and there's like the little Westworld spheres, and she sticks it in kind of like a CD player, and the light spins around. Like there's some really cool cyberpunky retro futurism tech in this for sure.
Yeah, it was also cool in a bit of a funny moment when, you know, she's like, "Oh, Mr. Wallace is a data hoarder," and then she's like, the door doesn't open all the way, and they're like,
Sorry about that.
Like, it was a weird bit of comedy in a otherwise incredibly cerebral movie.
At the same time, though, it's like it's comedy, and then it's like it's showing that she's fucking strong like yak, you know, like she's fucking moves this gigantic steel door just by like nudging it with her hip, you know.
True, and it also shows that, you know, even Wallace in his perfect building with his perfect replicants and his perfect world and his perfect drone Cherry MX Red keyboard eyes is not perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. Which
is good, you know. Sorry that I somewhat derailed.
It's okay.
Oh, you were talking about the Westworld spheres. Yeah, those were definitely cool. I don't know. I just really like the way the tech was mixed in the movie. Like all the screens and the panels and things like that. Like they weren't like, you know, floating holograms in the air bullshit or, you know, pieces of glass or, you know what I mean? Like they had real housings and casings and hardware.
Well, Villeneuve said in an interview that I read where he was saying that it's like a period movie. So and it makes a lot of sense. Like if you're making a film about Blade Runner that was made back in, the 80s, you're creating a period piece in a way. So you're stuck in that same creative space, which is kind of cool. But I like that it's
Alternate
not just
reality,
a bunch of little
yeah.
pieces of glass and fucking everyone's got a smartphone and stuff. And there's like not really much internet, like they don't bring the internet into it. And it's such a cool space.
Agreed. Well said.
I was tempted to use the Elvis hologram room thing as a transition to talking about Harrison Ford.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
But it's too late. We already...
Well, let's do it. That's the transition, bro. Nice segue.
Yeah, that's it right there.
But the little spheres, the little whirly spheres, little...
Now you're going Rain Man on me? Yeah, Harrison Ford.
Westworld swirly spheres.
Little small spheres. You use them on Wapner.
Definitely cool.
It cost about $100 at
Definitely
Kmart.
cool.
Well, to be fair, we're in Vegas at the casinos. Rain Man's counting cards, so it's not
Hey,
it works.
nice tie-in. So, why don't you lead us off on Harrison?
Yeah, we're definitely counting cards.
Yeah, we're definitely talking about Han Solo.
Star Wars death.
Whoa, no! Another Star Wars death.
So am I watching this time and, in parallel with the horror of going back and listening to that first episode, I realized we never actually talked about Harrison Ford.
Bit of a travesty. We barely
Not
talked
once.
about the movie, to be fair, man. It was such a short episode.
Oh. You know what? I wish, this is a very Bill and Ted moment, because I wish that if we had that damn phone booth, I would come scoop you two up, and we would go back in time, and we would slap our 2017 selves for such an egregious
That's it.
You sure you wouldn't
mishap.
rather, sail backwards in a boat for a few years?
No, I would. I totally would.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with the phone booth. The original phone booth,
Yeah. So what you're saying here, though, is that on episode 100, you would travel through time to do the first actual death in the show by killing our original selves. Is that kind of what you're getting at here?
Yes, but it wouldn't mean anything because, that doesn't matter anymore, according to time travel theorists in Tenet.
It wouldn't affect your timeline.
No. I just meant it in the everybody dies thing, like going back and actually doing the first deaths, the proto-death. So we're retroactively saying that the first deaths in the show are the fact that we didn't bring up Harrison Ford in a fucking Blade Runner movie. That's pretty fair.
Yes. Wow. This is this is like a meta quantum death. I dig it.
I'm down.
Hey, just real quick, we got to give a shout out to I believe it was Pyburn who called us out on a Avengers reference in the post.
Oh yeah, man, I like
premeditated death.
Yeah,
I really like that
fair
a lot.
enough.
It was our first death in a post. So
Yeah,
hats off to you, Pyburn.
that was me. I'll own that one.
That's all you, Squirrel.
So Han Solo, dude, he brought it in this, man.
He brought the movie, man. He was on board from day zero, which really helped sell it to a lot of people, man. I think that really got a lot of these people that were so instrumental in making a great film involved in making it happen. Him and Wiggly Scott.
Old Wiggles McGee himself.
Director and purveyor of fine stews.
Yeah, exactly.
Filmmaker and purveyor of fine canned stews.
Yeah, James Cameron's all about submarines and the Titanic, and this dude just makes soup.
Well, it's just beef stew. I mean, it's not like they're...
Maybe he branches out, maybe the beef stew really gains in popularity, and he starts making some, minestrone, gets into the, the soup biz.
Yeah, people don't know this, but...
Ooh, Chad's dad.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Dad.
Admiral Akbar's New England-style clam chowder is actually made under the Ridley Scott brand.
So according to that, he what was it? The General Calrissian is the General Foods label on the can. So maybe in an homage, horsed over to George Lucas, Ridley Scott created the General Calrissian brand for his soup company. Is that what you're getting at?
So it's not it's not General Mills.
No, General Mills is just an offshoot brand of Weyland
Yutani.
Yutani, yeah.
They bought it up. I love it.
Oh man, we could just connect. We could thread them all together, dude.
Dude,
I mean,
this
I'm
is like
upset.
6 degrees of
This
Kevin
is good.
Bacon, dude.
It's android milk that they use to make the chowder.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
So it makes it so rich and creamy.
Yeah, exactly. We knew that there was something special in there.
What did you
Now we
say it
know.
was? The android blood?
The android milk, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's upsetting to me to find out that Akbar's clam chowder is under the corporate shell game umbrella of Ridley Scott's dinty beef stew. Beef stew.
It's like finding out, your favorite brand of something is actually owned by Nestle.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly what I mean. Very upset.
Yeah, sorry to rain on your parade there.
It's all right, Dad. You've been raining on my parade my whole life, Dad.
Yeah, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah, I know. Not peeing in my Cheerios, peeing in my Admiral Akbar's clam chowder.
Ew.
Oh, God. That's a horrible mental picture right there. It's even worse.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, man, to traumatize you both.
I don't know. Yeah. I think it's like if you were peeing in a bowl of Cheerios that had milk in it, it would just kind of, I don't know, it kind of do its thing. But if you were peeing in some chowder, it would kind of get that like, it wouldn't go in, the pee wouldn't mix. It would just be like these pockets of pee, it would just be like these like crevasses of pee in the chowder. And it's just, yeah. It just really doesn't do
Okay,
it
I'm
for me.
gonna stop you right there. I didn't go there. Okay, you went there.
Yeah.
I just used the expression.
Yeah, but that was precisely the mental image I had.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
kudos.
If you pee into Cheerios with milk, it just kind of mixes together.
It would be displacing the like the pressure would displace bits of the chowder and
Yeah, exactly.
Glops and potatoes and stuff would come
Dude,
out of the bowl.
you take the milk out of a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios after you've loaded it up a few times. It looks like pea milk. That's fine. No big deal. Whatever. Pea milk. Pea chowder, dude? That's like some seriously fucked up shit, Kev. Like, that's really fucked up.
Wow. Sorry, man. Jesus. I'm gonna try not to use any more colloquial metaphors like that in the future.
I just feel like you get like the crevasses going on, the like surface tension, the chowder. You're gonna like uncover some of the potatoes with the pea. Like I'm gonna see like potato corners. I'm just not.
You don't want to see it raw. Yeah, you don't want to see raw ingredients in the chowder anyway.
know,
That's
man.
kind of gross.
Yeah.
Don't look closely at those clams.
Don't look closely at those clams.
Never look closely at
My
the
dad
clams.
always says, "Don't look closely at those clams."
They're Wallace Protein Farm grubs. They're not clams.
Exactly. Don't look closely.
But
They're still
but
wiggling.
To be fair, in our sort of little futuristic corporate universe here, it wouldn't be using the expression properly. The original expression is pea in your Cheerios, but I chose the clam chowder. But the product it really would be it would be another product from the same company called Han Solos.
Oh my fuck.
You get it? Like Cheerios, right?
Oh my god, man.
Pea in your Solos? Come on, dude. That's gold, baby.
Dude, die in a fire. Ugh.
Die in a fire.
So, anyways, Harrison Ford.
No, wait. Come on. Seriously, dude. If you're gonna have New England, Admiral Akbar's New England clam chowder, I may be hanging myself further here.
Han Solos.
The logical breakfast cereal product would be Han Solos.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
You're simultaneously amazed and disgusted.
Say it again.
I got it,
It's getting funnier.
It kind of is, though.
It is.
Ah.
What? I thought that was pretty solid. I want to see a cereal box with Han Solos.
Is it like when you put the blaster in stun mode and those little,
Yes.
like when they shoot
Yes.
Princess Leia and
Yeah,
those
in the
little O's come
cell.
out of the gun?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, like blue O's. Totally.
Yeah, the cover of the box would be, like a picture of Han with the gun in stun mode and the rings coming out, and then they would sort of transform into the little cereal bits as the picture goes on, and then land in the bowl.
It'd be like Fruit Loops, but they're like blue loops, and then there would be little marshmallow brown vests that you could have, like his little fucking vest that he wears.
Totally.
And in the tradition of Star Wars blue milk at the cantina, the little the solos, the little O's, the cereal bits would have to be blue.
They let out
you just said that.
Blue milk. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they have to be blue O's, and then they turn the milk blue.
Yep.
With I like the little brown vests, or black vests, whatever Marbits would be. I can't believe we just went down this road, man.
I like that it's vests and not little like marshmallow Millennium Falcons or something.
No, that's too obvious. It's got to be really shittily shaped vests where most people would be like, "What the fuck is that?" And be like, "It's a vest, dude."
Yes,
obviously,
I agree. Balls of Wookiee hair or something.
And there'd be an amazing blurb on the back of the box about the vests.
I think there should be little mini disemboweled tauntauns.
I'll see you in hell.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
On the inside.
Oh, wow. All right, Kev, I'm on board.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'm still going to take that Death Wish by fire.
Took some doing, but...
we got there eventually. Harrison Ford.
I still think my original idea was good. Clearly, it bore some great fruit. Anyway, and that's another one of our, legendary imaginary merch items or whatever.
Han Solo's.
It's right up there with the Six Demon bag and the chowder and all that stuff.
How does this work though? Is it like Han SOL-O''S? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, SOL-O''S. And then you like enlarge that final O, or make it one of the blue cereal bits, but enlarge it with apostrophe S after it.
I mean, if we're talking about peeing in cereal, can we do C3POs?
Ooh, yeah, we could do both. Dude, that's as dumb as what I said, man. Easily.
I don't know. It's kind of genius the more you think about it.
Yeah.
3PO's into water sports, man.
And then they're yellow, so
exactly.
Yeah. Like him. Yeah. Golden, no doubt. We've all sort of like died the ultimate fiery Star Wars death here in this whole cul-de-sac.
Yeah. I was just trying to like reach for some golden shower reference, but I just decided to leave it. I'll leave it there.
I held back. I was feeling the golden shower comment coming into my brain, and I was like, I'm going to just not say that.
Yeah.
What would a chewy cereal be? You got to have bowcaster fucking marshmallows or something.
They'd be like Wheaties, but they'd be Wookiees.
Or like shredded like wheat or something.
And each bag would have a champion Wookiee. Each box would have a champion Wookiee. It's like the first one, of course, would have to be Chewie at the finally getting his medal at the end of the first Star Wars
Rise of Papa Palpatine.
No, I think instead of calling them Wookiees, I would call them Chewies.
Yeah,
like CHEWEEZ or -EEZ, right?
That's the alternate cereal.
I like Wookiees. Yeah.
Wow, this is one hell of a ripping good cul-de-sac.
Anyways, Blade Runner.
So Harrison Ford.
I like that his character. I like that Deckard kind of can come full circle to meet his daughter. That was kind of cool. Before you find out that Kay is not the chosen one, and he's sitting at the bar with him in the penthouse of that Vegas apartment. I remember being like, "Wow, Kay is sitting there with his dad, and his dad doesn't know that it's his son," kind of thing. And then, Deckard being like, sometimes in order to love someone, you have to, go away. And I just remember being like, yeah, right on, dude. Or you have to be a stranger. And then he walks out of the room and Kay says to strangers and drinks the rest of the whiskey. So it's interesting to see it a second time around where that Kay isn't the kid. And then Kay ends up connecting him with his actual daughter and stuff. It's a cool closure to Deckard's arc.
I agree wholeheartedly. The tie-ins, the way they wove the two films together was perfect. It's just such an excellent, excellent story. And it was a great way to continue the original story without, like, crapping all over the original lore. You know what I mean? Again, even though the original movie is not really based off the story entirely to begin with, I have a copy of Android Dreams of Electric Sheep. It's like, 30 pages.
Yeah, it's not long.
It's just super small. It's a short story. It's an easy read. Like it's interesting, but I think not to go like a small, very small cul-de-sac would be, it's just interesting how that book and those simple ideas in there spawned this whole juggernaut of, microcosm, I find that very interesting, that Hampton Fancher was able to kind of go to what we got from that short story. Pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt.
But yes, Harrison Ford, as somebody that saw the original Star Wars, again, I'm dead, in the theater, he was always one of my, like, kind of heroes, man.
Totally.
He's great. And he brings so much to what he does. And he's actually a very funny man and a very funny actor as well.
One of my favorite scenes in any movie is when he shoots the swordsman in Indiana Jones. It's just
totally
so great, man. There's a great movie with Rachel McAdams and Diane Keaton called Morning Glory. It's about like morning sort of news programs that I watched once on a lark, and it was actually really funny. And he's in it, and he is hysterical in it, man. Like he really knows what he's doing, and he brings so much to everything that he does. It's great. And it was great watching him slip back into that Deckard skin again, after all these years. So really, really well done. And I love the ending being all about him with his daughter.
And I especially loved that he didn't say anything to his daughter,
Same.
It's just like he puts his hand up and it's like he's about to say something and they just cut, directed by Denny. Instead of him being like,
perfect,
blah, 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 like you just don't need any of it.
I agree. It was great. Really, really great. Okay, so one theme that's sort of pervasive throughout, we can spend as much or as little time talking about this. I know that we need to get to wrapping this up, but I think that this one was important. I noticed this viewing was when Robin Wright goes to Kay's apartment and says, and is having the drinks and all of that sort of thing, and she says, we're all just looking out for something real. Like that theme sort of permeates. That idea permeates throughout the course of the film. It's like almost every character is looking for something like that. Certainly Kay, certainly Joy, certainly Madam. You know what I mean? Agree, disagree? Did you see that? Did you not see that? Did you find that interesting, or should I just shut up?
I think all the characters in a way, even Wallace. But it's all twisted in everyone's. Yeah, that's interesting. I guess I hadn't really taken her statement beyond just like a generalized statement about humanity, but it might speak specifically to the movie as well.
I didn't think about it either, and then certainly not in my previous viewings. But then this time, I was super engrossed. So when I heard her say it this time, and then as I watched, the rest of the film, I was like, this is like everybody, or at least half the characters in the story, looking for the real experience. Like when Joy dies, he goes, if this thing breaks, like that's it. And she goes, I know, like a real girl. And then earlier on, she's saying, she's like, I knew it. I've heard you tell that story so many times. I knew it. You're just like a real boy. You need a name like a real boy, Joe.
Yeah.
So like that keeps, I don't know, it just kept hitting, and it kept hitting me in the face. So I don't know, I got really interested by that. Just something for people to chew on, I guess. We don't have to spend a ton of time on it.
You got anything there, Benny?
Not particularly, no.
We blasted past it when we were talking about Joy, but one thing that came to mind there with you talking about Joy and Kay kind of romping around the city together, Kev, was very like Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket. Kind of the real boy thing, where like they're doing their thing, but they're both kind of not part of the real world. So I definitely catch that vibe on those two characters, no doubt. And I definitely agree with the earlier statement about Kay and Joy establishing and developing their I don't know, buddy copness as she gets her freedom from the apartment. I definitely really appreciated that pairing.
Well, yeah, they're caring for each other because I in this viewing, for me more than any other, I really felt like it was real. Like they really care for each other. You know what I mean? As much as they're capable of doing that, you know? And I mean, we could spend, you know, a lot more time talking about this and we're not going to, but, you know, it begs the question, like, what does real love take? You know what I mean? Like, what does that really require? Does it really require that level of depth of character, of being, you know? Like, can you be a digital construct and love something, even in your own limited ability? Like, ditto with a replicant. Like, I don't know. Those are sort of the interesting questions that were popping into my head as I was watching
I think
this.
I have the answer to that question.
Yeah?
What's that?
If it walks like duck and quacks like duck.
It is duck.
It is duck.
Oh, we can end it right there. It's perfect.
It's Truth Serum and Android Love.
Truth Serum and Android Love.com.
Be a pretty cool website name, to be honest.
Truth Serum and AndroidLove.com.
Yep.
Well, it's debatable whether either of them actually exist, apparently. So
Yeah, that's true. So if we can't get either EBD.com or in this episode, everybodydies.com, we'll use that as our alt.
Do you guys want to move on to bits and bobs?
Oh, there is one scene that I was sort of confused about. I was hoping maybe we could talk about for a second.
Go for it.
Well, it's the part when he reports back to her, you know, and she's like, your baseline was way off. You didn't even look anything like yourself. And he kind of interrupts her and he says, it's done. He goes, I found him. I found the child. Set up like a standard replicant. Even he didn't know. And at that point, I was like, is he just making all of this up for her sake?
Yeah, I think it was just a diversion. I think he knew that he could break the line of questioning by just giving her what she wanted, even though it was a complete lie.
Right. Okay. What?
baseline.
You going to throw in a slap bass on various points in this show, or
Got it, man.
Oh my god.
Because now I'm thinking about, I can't believe you just brought that up again. Because now I'm thinking about him leaving the police station and just like going and like sitting on a bench somewhere outside and going, you know, right? Like trying to get his bass line down.
I'm sorry.
it's all right, man.
Be sorry, man.
Good God.
Bits and bobs.
Bits and bobs. Yeah.
Edward Jane's almost cameo, dude. I loved that. Sheep Easter egg origami. I love that. Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Great small scene. I'm so glad that they had it in there.
Cool to see him reprise the role.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. It's an interesting character. Like, yeah, he's going to make, every time he has a conversation with somebody, he's already started making a piece of origami.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time he's made his point, he makes it by putting the origami down on the table.
Yes, that's true.
It's kind of silly, but it's
amazing,
cool and it
too.
fits so well into that world, you know.
I kind of want to do that now and just like be a complete prick. It's like, yeah, you don't drop the mic, you just like put a piece of origami on the table.
You know, I felt the same thing when I saw that scene. It's like, wow, that kind of makes me want to learn origami just so I can do that.
Right. But the best thing is that it's just like one of our friends who wanted to dress up like Neo and have a fake fight in front of a bar. Like, it's not going to impress anybody, dude. Like you like put an origami thing on the table to prove the point and then just be like, what the fuck is that, man? You feel all smug about yourself, and they're just like, you're an idiot, dude.
Well, you know what, man? I just had a thought. Like, if you sort of combined Gaff and Wilford Brimley together, like, you would get a really interesting situation where he'd be giving you a talking to, and he'd finish each talking to by putting down some sort of origami piece. And I think that...
But the origami piece would just be like a bowl with a crumpled up piece of origami paper in it, simulating an origami oatmeal.
Yeah, it could be. But I think that the weight of his scolding, stern talking to, and his mustache, and all of that combined with the origami, I think would be pretty impactful. No?
Yeah. Yeah.
Could be. I was just kind of riffing on Chad saying, like, you know, people just wouldn't get it. And I was like, What if the origami guy like just you know got it wrong every time? Like in the midst of like doing the origami, he was like, "Fuck! I started a monkey. I wanted to do a fucking," you know, and the person
right?
when he puts it down, the person's like, "I don't get it. Why is it a monkey?" He's like, "Yeah, fuck! It was supposed to be a fucking unicorn." Like,
or you kept making like little paper footballs, like those little triangles, or the little those little wish things that you do that open both ways,
Right,
or the little paper blow up balloons.
shit, that was supposed to be a swan.
Dude, if he had pulled up one of those fucking back and forth wish things, it would have just been amazing.
Where is Deckard?
Pick a
I
color.
don't know.
Now pick a number.
Exactly. Oh my god. Oh, that's so funny, man.
You guys got any other bits and bobs?
The spinners. The spinners
Spinners were
are
sick.
sort of iconic from the original, and I think that I really like the way the spinners were done and updated, and there was enough of them in there to satisfy everybody's desire for more spinner action, but not too much, and it was good. I think one thing I did miss was the light flares, the lens flares. That was a really cool part of the original.
Let's go watch a JJ movie, dude.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams stole all the lens flares.
He has all
what
of
he
the
did.
lenses that cause lens flare. Every never mind, I'm dead.
Good try. That was a beautiful death, though.
Went backwards in time in a backwards sailing boat, and he stole all the lens flares.
Took all the anthropomorphic. I'm dead again. God damn. Anthropomorphic lenses. Thank you.
Well, we're gonna call that an anthropomorphic death.
Anamorphic? Animal.
Anthropomorphic
Dude,
mighty
just
Power
stop.
Rangers? What?
That would be anthropomorphin.
Mighty Anthropomorphin Power Rangers?
Mighty anthropomorphin power chad?
Power squirrels.
Power squirrels. There you go. The mighty anthropomorphin power squirrels. Boom. There's our new property. It's $1 million winner.
The fact that Joy was partially see-through, like the opacity of Joy, I really liked. Obviously, she's like entering and exiting people's bodies and stuff, which I suppose is a good segue into another bit and or Bob, which is the weird hologram sex scene was just so interesting and fantastically shot.
Yeah, it was really, really well done. I agree. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Which gives us a chance to say Mackenzie Davis was awesome.
Yep, she sure was.
Yes, she's very good. I totally fell for her in the San Junipero
Oh,
episode
totally, yeah.
of Black Mirror. She's great.
Yeah, that was the first place I saw her as well. Halt and Catch Fire is another great show that she's in.
She's in that Terminator movie, but we won't talk about that.
Oh yeah, did you see that? Because there's a couple funny bits in it.
I did see it.
Yeah, the new Terminator.
Terminator Dark Fate.
I think so.
Terminator Dark Fate, the new one.
Yeah.
The newest one? Yeah.
Dude, you know what the Dark Fate is? Is that there might be another Terminator movie.
No doubt.
Because at this point, like they had something with Terminator Salvation, and then I mean, it's not like dropping the ball. It's like dropping a vase, and then it breaks, and all the pieces go everywhere. It's just they are just in no man's land, dude. Holy moly! Anyway, were you done with that bit and or Bob? Because I have one.
Yeah, man, go for it.
Sure.
I always wanted to. I mean, this is, I don't know, sort of accurate, sort of not accurate. Like we do get to see like what Leon does in the first one, right? And Batty does, like they're super strong, But I always wanted to kind of see more of what like the replicants were capable of. And I really enjoyed the scene where he crashes on his way to the orphanage, or I think it's on the way to the orphanage.
Yep.
He crashes into all of that junk, and they try to cut the door open and pull him out of the car, and he gets out and just starts really kicking some ass in a nice little combination of hand-to-hand combat and gun use. I was avoiding trying to use the term gun fu because I think it's so stupid.
I was just going to say, would you say that it was gun fu?
Gun fu, Kev? Oh my god. So
try and pull a fucking Grammaton cleric out of their ass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I just really enjoyed that scene. I thought it was really cool watching the hand-to-hand, and I thought he did a really excellent job of, kind of showcasing what a physically superior, kind of life form could do, like in terms of gun accuracy and just hand-to-hand precision. I just thought that was really, really cool. I enjoyed that scene. I had wanted to see something like that. And the end fight isn't quite like that because everybody's injured and it's a lot more sloppy, So that scene was really, really cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no doubt. And that scene also, we touched on it in the last episode that we did on this, but the orbital bombardment while Love gets her nails done is pretty amazing.
Pretty crazy, right?
I love that. Still so good. And the orphanage scene too. Like, obviously, we didn't get too much into the scenes here, but there was some good stuff in there.
Tying all that other stuff together, I like the idea of the sort of guardian / scout drone that comes out of the spinner's roof.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and they all seemed like they had multiple purposes, like the various different spinners. Because like when they kind of invade Las Vegas, it seemed like they're more kind of like military drones. I don't know. I could be putting that all in there in my mind, but it seemed that way to me. I don't know.
It would make sense for sure. Nuggets deaths ratings.
Okay. Nuggets.
I think for me, in honor of the first episode, I don't have any nuggets actually for this one. That's a bullshit excuse. I just don't have any nuggets.
No, that's all right. I only have a couple. They're kind of more like everybody Kev's typical Kev fare, but I'll throw them out there.
Blast them out, man. Let's get the show notes going, huh?
Yeah. No, it's not going to be like that. I thought this one was really interesting. This is the most nuggety of the nuggets, and that would be David Bowie was Villeneuve's first choice for Wallace, but he died before
that would have been interesting.
They could start shooting, right? Because I really enjoyed David Bowie as Tesla in The Prestige, and I think that would have been super interesting. Kind of seeing him in that and kind of transposing it into this a little bit. I think that would have been super, super interesting.
Totally, he could have done a good job. We lost a legend there, man. Fuck. I'm not going to say this is a nugget, but there was a couple of things I saw that would be worthy of the show notes that talked about the Galatians syndrome, which is what illness the child was supposed to have had when the DNA sequence scene happened. And evidently the Galatians are in the Bible, and there's a lot of really interesting references there. And some of the biblical verses have like the words love and joy and, slavery and born of a woman. So I'll link up to a cool Reddit thread that was there. It's not really worth digging into here. Another art house rabbit hole for you, Benny.
Yay.
David Dastmalchian, I think I'm saying that right. It's an Armenian name. He was played Coco. He was in he played the weird kind of sniper guy in Dark Knight. He played the weird sniper who was like from the Looney Bin, and he was also the one of the ex-con gang in Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I thought was fantastic.
Oh yeah, he's the hacker dude.
So he's a great actor, and he had a small part in this, but he's just a really memorable actor. I really like what he does. I always notice him when I see him on screen. So
he's apparently going to be playing Piter de Vries in Dune.
Yeah, which is awesome. I just saw that too.
What? He is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, he is perfect for that.
Yeah, that's great.
That is great. My second and last nugget is Wood Harris.
The Twisted Mentat.
Yeah, Wood Harris from The Wire, man.
Woody Harrelson?
No, yeah, Woody Harrelson was in this movie. He played Robin Wright Penn as Lieutenant Joshi or Madam. No, Wood Harris played Nandez, one of the other Blade Runners, and he, as you well know, is from one of our favorite movies, Dredd. He played Kay in Dredd, the right hand with Caleb of Mama.
Oh yeah,
and he was Avon Barksdale in The Wire, which is a pretty
in The Wire, yes, as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's it.
Sweet.
Deaths.
There's a bunch of Star Wars deaths.
Dude, there's a lot of deaths, period.
Carnage.
Okay, I had a Star Wars death. Yeah, a lot of carnage. I also had the Clitrope Mulva death. which is great. Then the baseline death I had, and then I had another Star Wars death. Then we all died on our first episode, Retro Quantum Meta Time Travel Death, which I thought was a good name for a death.
Very.
That would be an MDK, murder, death, kill. And then we had...
you died in a fire.
Well, you egregiously... a very prejudicial death wish from you this week against me. There was one the other week too. But not only did you want me to die, you wanted me to die by fire. That's fine. We all died a fiery Star Wars death for all of the Truth Serum and AndroidLove.com conversation. And then you had two at the end because you couldn't pronounce anthropomorphic.
Probably still can't.
Probably. And that's where we came up with the mighty anthropomorphic
Power Rangers.
Power Squirrels. Power Squirrels.
I think the best part about it is I couldn't pronounce anthropomorphic, but I was supposed to say anamorphic. That's the best bit.
Wow, even better.
Yeah.
Anamorphic. Anthropomorphin Power Squirrels. Whatever. I'm going to butcher it now. I'm going to shut up. Ratings.
This one gets a 9.5. It's an excellent film.
Nice.
If you haven't seen it yet, I don't know what fucking rock you've been hiding under, but get out of there, dust yourself off, and go see this movie.
It's one of the all-times, man. Benny, just real quick, what did you rate it the first time? Because you both listened to the episode.
We didn't rate it the first time.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so this is really good. I like it.
It surprised me that we didn't rate this the first time. That's how long ago it was. We didn't even fucking rate movies. But it was already on my algorithm, and I had a few gripes in the other episode. So I was a little surprised to see how high it rated on my algorithm already. But at the same time, it's an 8.9 for me. It's a fucking really good movie.
Wow.
It doesn't get into the 9s for me. The 9s for me are like literally legendary movies. 8s are fantastic movies. I think there's a few things that just kind of edge it below the 9. The original Blade Runner is a 9.1, so they're very similarly rated.
That was one of my questions. Yeah. Go ahead.
But it is a fantastic film. It's my kind of movie. I have no issue with the pace of it. I have no issue with the length of it. It's absolutely fantastic movie.
Oh, good. I love when you're bullish on one of the properties that we talk about. So that makes me happy. What did you? Okay, question for you. Algorithmic question. What company does this movie keep on the algorithm? So if it's below the original, which is fine, where does it sit? So and tell me what was the rating again?
8.9.
8.9 is high. Okay, what company does it keep with that?
So it's right below The Fifth Element, which is an interesting one for me. I think The Fifth Element pips it for purely nostalgia. They're completely different, but
definitely.
It also kind of just goes to show that the algorithm is an imperfect mechanism.
Machine, yes.
I think like a good example of a 9, a legendary film, like literally The Border, the first 9 is Terminator 2. I think it is a legendary film. 2001, Shawshank, Pulp Fiction, Star Wars, Aliens, Clockwork Orange, Predator, Return of the Jedi, Doctor Strangelove. Like these are all legendary films.
Legendary, yeah.
Yeah, so those are above Blade Runner. And then in terms of kind of the company it keeps, Heat, Usual Suspects, Monty Python's Holy Grail, Mononoke, Fight Club, Ghost in the Shell, Interstellar,
Those are all excellent, excellent films.
Yeah, so like I don't think the ones that I just said are quite legendary, but they're damn fucking close. So it's in very good company. And I was just looking at the algorithm, and I could make a pretty strong argument that this is the best movie of the last 20 years.
Wow.
On my algorithm.
That is something. Oh, wow. Well, still, I mean, that's something that we almost could have spent a bunch of time talking about on the show during the course of the episode.
I mean, movies that were released in the 2000s that are above it. Spirited Away, American Psycho, which I don't know. I need to revisit. So, like, it's really...
That's pretty damn good, man.
It's good, but I don't know.
I mean, you're talking... I don't know, dude. I mean, I think... I'm not saying I don't agree with that. I actually do agree with that. It is definitely up there.
I think a stronger case can be made for in my opinion, it's the best movie of the last 10 years. But I found it interesting that you could even stretch it back to the year 2000, and it's pretty strong.
I would say it could be... I'll say it slightly differently. In my easily in my top 10 or my top 20 of the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's excluding a lot of 90s and 80s movies that we have talked about or we love, you know.
I think all it says to me is that there haven't been too many legendary movies since the turn of the century, really. Like, there's been some great movies, but just very few legendary movies.
The ones that I tend to buy are the ones that are legendary to me because I'll keep watching them.
Mm.
So if I gauge it like that and, you know, sort of make it my algorithm, right? Like, There's not from the year 2000 forward. There's not a ton there, man. I mean, I don't know if I would quite put Bohemian Rhapsody in that category because it's kind of a biopic. But that was something really excellent that I watched in the last 2 years that I was like, wow, this is really, really good. And I've watched it since as well.
I mean, there's movies like Prestige, No Country. You know, like there's stuff out there.
Yeah, okay, those two would be on my list for sure. You know. I mean, reaching back further, when I think about a complete movie that's great end to end, it's rating in the 9 to 10, you know, range. You're talking like Shawshank, LA Confidential.
Yeah.
This movie I would put in there. The original Blade Runner I would put in there. You know, a bunch I'm not thinking of. The Prestige, absolutely. No Country would definitely be in there. Another Denis Villeneuve movie, Sicario. That's an excellent movie. Even the sequel was fantastic, and he didn't even direct it. Taylor Sheridan did it, who's a great up-and-coming talent as a director anyway. So anyway, without getting too far off a track, I agree with you. This is, and I'll segue that into my rating. It's an excellent, excellent film. It's an excellent science fiction film. It's an excellent story. The component parts needed to put the story together, the acting, the directing, cinematography, the lighting, the music are all just excellent. Melting together, to use a term that Ben said in the beginning of our episode. They all just melt together perfectly and create a wonderful story and a wonderful piece of art, dare I say, visual masterpiece. I'm kind of getting burned on that term because I think it's overused. But it really is. It's really, really a joy to look at. You definitely need to take some time to sit with this and absorb it for sure. But it's great. Definitely in the top 20 of the last 10 or 20 years. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 10. I've given some other movies 10s, and this movie is deserving of a 10. It's just that good.
Nice.
And as long as I had the time to sit and absorb it, I would never mind sitting down to watch this again. Like, I even thought, because I started it the night before and ended up falling asleep. And I was like, when I picked it up last night, it was a little bit earlier, and I was like, well, I could just skip to that part. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. And I was engrossed again, you know, just watching the opening scene, the cabin scene again. Like, it's that good. So it's well deserved.
Yeah, nice.
So, Algo Squirrel, what do we have coming up next week?
We're going to do Coming to America and Coming to America next week, which is both of the movies.
I like it. A twofer.
Two for Howard.
Yeah, there you go. A two for Howard. Nice. All right, cool. Well, listen, folks, thank you for sticking with us for 100 episodes. We hope you enjoyed this 100th episode redo of Blade Runner 2049. I sure as hell did. I think that the boys did too. So thanks for joining us.
Later.
Thanks, folks. See you later.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. You can find the show notes for this episode in your podcast app of choice. Order our website, ebd.fm/episodes/100. If you'd like to support the show, there's a number of delicious ways to do it. You can support our Patreon. That's right, patreon.com/EBD podcast. We've got one. And we've got tiers, baby, so get down.
Tears in the Rain?
Whoa. That's got to be one of the tiers, dude. Tears
Should change
in the
it.
rain. You got to change it. You can also support us on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast nuggies. Leaving reviews in particular is really, really helpful. So please, we encourage you to do so. Folks, another great way you can support the show is to tell one of your friends. We know that you all have many wonderful friends. So please, tell them to check out our show. We would really appreciate it. As always, we'd like to remind everybody to follow us on social media. We use the handle @EBD Podcast on all social media. So check us out. Thanks so much for enjoying it. Thanks so much for enjoying. Thanks so much for enjoying.
Anthropomorphic.
Thank you so much for joining us on this anthropomorphic 100th episode of Blade Runner 2049. Oh my God, what a disaster. Thanks so much for listening, folks, and we'll see you next time.
Two control ego, drink from overraid to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Beady, beady, beady. 2 weeks.